That's
Uh,
not great. Is my audio working at least?
yeah, your audio is really good. Right. Let me go and check here.
Hold on. Let me try the camera one more time.
And
Um,
guys, it'd be cool if you guys can. Oh, that's you. I see you.
there you go. That's me.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So a quick format of today's call is we're gonna just discuss a quick fireside chat with Mofi. He's gonna introduce himself and share like how long he's known about the Headstarter journey. Mofi has been an integral part about creating this curriculum. He's one of our advisors. And quick introduction to Mofi. So we'll cover Mofi, and after Mofi's segment is done for the next 20 minutes or so, we will do some general Q&A people may have about the application. So quick introduction to Mofi. Mofi graduated from City College of New York in 2019. He worked at IBM for a couple of years. Mofi has been to over 40 hackathons, or he has judged in over 40 hackathons, including my second and my 11th hackathon. My 11th hackathon, I won first place at Hack Cornell, and Mofi was one of the judges there. Today, Mofi works at Google on the Kubernetes team and Google Gemini engineering team. So Mofi, if you want to just quickly take on and just give us a few words of wisdom, quick, maybe 5, 10 minutes, then I can ask you some questions, or ask the users ask you questions.
Sure. Yeah. Quick correction. I graduated in 2017,
Point
but
something. Correct.
but in the middle, there are a couple of years that probably don't count for most people. So we're gonna kind of like ignore whatever happened between 2020 and 2022. I kind of erased that from memory, so it's okay if we kind of cut off 2 years from life. Yeah, I was at IBM. I was initially at the IBM Watson team, initially working on Watson Health. From there, moved on to IBM Cloud, focusing a lot on the container side of things. IBM Cloud launched our Kubernetes service around the same time Red Hat acquisition went through. So we're doing a lot of work on the OpenShift platform that IBM has. And since then, I actually made a short stint over to Vonage. Vonage is a telecom API provider company where I worked on their video API platform where you could build kind of like your own video chat, just like the one we're on right now. And while I was at Vonage, pretty shortly after, recruiters from Google reached out. So it was kind of like you could not, an offer you could not refuse. So you kind of made that switch. I'm in the Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE team. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on running a AML workload. That other partial team I work on is called Gemma. So Gemma is a open model in the same vein of Gemini models that you would probably be able to see if you go to gemini.google.com. So Gemma is an open model that you can run yourself locally if you have a GPU available or on the cloud. Yeah, so I think like my first foray with the Headstarter has been, I mean, as Yasin mentioned, I ran into him quite a lot through his journey through college and kind of going through that hackathon scene. While I was a student, I probably participated roughly about 20 to 30 hackathons, and in professional setting as a judge, about 30 to 40 more hackathons. So kind of like that space of students finding their footing, finding the things they like, and finding their space and place in this industry, which is pretty big. I think Yasin at some point would be able to share that image out of like the map of computer science, like how many different things that are possible. Yasin and I had like I think a lot of good conversation about that image alone, right? Like we talked a lot about like what it means to be like in the industry of a software engineering, because it is very big, it is very wide, and it covers pretty much all aspect of life in the next 10, 15 years, even before AI was kind of overtaking pretty much every aspect of our life. General computer knowledge and general programming knowledge was going to become probably pretty essential in all aspects of life. Like I speak to my mechanical engineer friends, and for the most part, like they're learning Python because dealing with things like AutoCAD software or this like machining softwares require you to have programming skills to do those scripting work to do your work better. Even my doctor friends actually need to understand some software tools because they're always using computers. They're using these tools, having understanding of how these softwares work, what makes a good UI in every domain is going to become. So in some ways, skills of software engineering is not something that is isolated to software engineers only. This is a problem-solving skill that kind of touches every aspect of your life. Like in shopping, in retail, in banking, every aspect, every type of companies need software solution, right? So one of the challenges there as well is I think with AI and that barrier to entry somewhat actually increased in some ways, mainly because that path from not knowing anything to becoming junior to mid-level to senior, in some ways, a lot of companies are thinking if they can give their senior engineers these AI tools and kind of bypass that whole process of upskilling people from scratch, which is a very expensive endeavor for companies, right? Generally speaking. So um, the whole concept of, again, not someone who believes very strongly in the idea of 10x engineer per se, but you can force multiply, right? If you're good at something using these tools, you can definitely increase productivity in certain ways. But at the same time, when you have no context of kind of like the what does not work, these AI tools can sometimes can even make you slower, because debugging an AI provided solution at sometimes can become very challenging, right? So um, the whole point on saying this is breaking into the job market has probably been the hardest it has ever been, mainly because a lot of companies with the layoff, with the interest rate going higher, not having the infinite VC money that was flowing through, does not have either the resources or the interest to build out that great pipeline of new engineers coming in. When I was getting my first job at IBM, someone was saying that for your salary, like whatever salary you make, for every $100 of your salary to hire you for 1 year, it cost IBM 3 times that. Mainly because it's lost productivity. If you're someone new, someone senior engineers has to spend their time in upskilling you, and then you are not going to produce as much things, but also you're gonna like hold on to a lot of tickets because they're gonna give you stuff, you're gonna take longer to finish them. So the companies were willing to make that investment, right? Like companies are willing to make their investment in new folks because that was the pipeline they're building out. That was going to be their next generation. Like the people today they're investing in, tomorrow they're going to become senior engineers and train the next generation as well as produce great product. That is something right now, at least in this point in time, companies are trying to reevaluate, can they kind of bypass that way and just hire senior engineers, give them all the AI tools under the sun, and see if they can outproduce their competition, right? That is the kind of the game we're in. So when I think I first heard of Headstarter, I would almost say went to the point of grilling Yasin, like why this particular way and not other way, like boot camps exist, like what is the particular aspect of it? And I mean, I joined probably like about 30 minutes into the call, so he probably already mentioned some of the philosophy behind. And time again, I think we still meet every couple of weeks to a month just to like talk ideas and think through. This is a problem that is very near and dear to my heart of how do people go from not knowing something to knowing something, right? As someone who works on Google Cloud, our product, I am at times tasked with like teaching our customers, how do you go about using one of our product, one of our features? And that moment of, okay, I did not know something and that just clicked, now I understand this and now I can actually like not only use this, but excel in it and grow in this space and bring my own ideas. That 0 to 1 connection is probably the hardest among all of it, right? Upskilling, like the first step is probably one of the hardest journey because oftentimes you don't know what you don't know. So there is like this whole quadrant of things that are known, unknown, known, and unknown. And half the time we're struggling with what we don't know. Um, like without talking to people, without having the team collaboration, without building things, you don't actually know. You can be in an endless loop of like tutorials and blogs and videos, and you can learn all the like top level things that you can learn. But until you actually go about put your elbow grease into building something fun, you don't really reach into that like chasm of this does not work. How do I go about fixing that? Unless because if you're doing and building things everybody else is building and doing things, you're not necessarily like treading new path, right? You're not building out something new that people are going to be interested in as a like a product. Everybody, it doesn't matter what job role you are in sales. What I mean by that is if you're in engineering in your company, you are in sales to make sure other teams buy into the ideas you're selling. If you're product management, you are selling these ideas to engineers, selling the product to customers, right? If you are in sales, that's in the job description, you're selling that stuff, right? So everybody's job at some level is selling, and that comes from like putting out ideas, writing documentation, putting out like recruiting people to work with your ideas. So again, I spoke a lot of bunch of different things. I want to have enough time for people to have questions as well. What I want to finish with is that something like a program like Headstarter, I think, gives you a decent structure to kind of have the boundary to test yourself in. Sometimes like having no what is the word, accountability without a like program like this. Not saying you could not just like go out there, find a group of people, some projects, like go out there and even create a startup or make your resume really good and get a job. That is absolutely possible. But having a structure around it, like having a team structure, having some accountability to present, and having some accountability to publish stuff, get something deployed, that definitely creates a lot more accountability that helps people keep on the right track, oftentimes which is missing from your average day-to-day life. It is always easy to take the easy path out and not go through the hardship of having to build, having to learn and grow. Learning and growing is hard things, right? This is something that challenges us, that mentally, physically, it is a time commitment. All of these things are not easy, right? Like a lot of people with the rise of boot camp and other things have an idea that I'm going to spend like 3 months, all of a sudden I'm going to have like $1 million job. It is possible, it has happened, but it is much rarer than those flashy news articles might make you think. Well, I don't want to sound too pessimistic. Definitely, this is a grow. Even with our recent setback and everything else, this is a growing industry. We need software engineers more than ever. With the impending doom of AI taking everybody's job over, even with that, like I think until the singularity happens, we'll continue to I think be needed. And with I have, again, being at Google and using a lot of these tools firsthand. My key takeaway is these tools make people that are good better, and people that are average competent, right? So it is like a force multiplier. If you are bringing in like negative skills to something, it would actually slow you down way more. So there is the need for knowing things and be competent in things does not really go away just because you have access to Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, or these kind of like big models. And these models are expensive on its own right, so that's kind of, forget the cost part. But even without that, if you don't know something, you're going to spend way too much time to kind of figure out what it said is right or wrong, versus just like having the inherent knowledge to be able to use these tools as a collaborator rather than like oracles. Yasin, I'm gonna open it back up to you. If you, I could not read the chat. It's pretty small on the screen for me. So if you can kind of field some of those questions, if there is any.
Yeah,
But
I got you.
just go.
So guys, I recommend you guys should take a screenshot of Mofi talking. You can use this to like post on LinkedIn, share with others. Mofi, whenever I speak with Mofi, as some of our other advisors, I just love talking. And all the time, Mofi, I'm like, man, I wish other people tune into like our discussion. And today, actually, we're able to do that. So one of the questions I have for you, I have like 2 or 3 questions I want to ask you, Mofi. You
Yeah.
talked about the importance of accountability and team-based things. How important do you think is team collaboration? You as an interviewer, you have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. So I just want to ask you, how important is team collaboration in the software engineering world?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it goes both ways, right? Like one is the part you mentioned of interviewing people and like trying to get someone the job, the first aspect of it, right? So I'll speak on both sides of it. Number one is, I think school creates an unrealistic expectation of, okay, your individual work, you're gonna kind of do those, no cheating, no sharing, and that kind of a thing, which is, I understand, for like an integrity, you want to make sure that every individual person knows what they're talking about. But the moment you go into a job, that all kind of goes away, right? Your goal is completely different compared to what school's goal is. School's goal is to take 50, 40, 60, however many people in that class and make sure everybody knows like what they're talking about in that curriculum. A job's goal is to make sure if there's 6 people in a team, it is 1/6 or like some ratio of that work being divided up, and everybody who is focusing on their part knows that really well, and there's some overlap so that team can have some support system kind of like flowing through. But your output is not going to be 100%. Your output is going to be some percent of the total 100% workload, right? That is the when you get the job when you're working in a team. When you're interviewing someone, and this is kind of like we have rubrics and other things when you're interviewing folks, but one of the things we look at is that is this person is going to be a good teammate. We don't, like when you're hiring people for jobs, we are not looking for people that are going to come in and like solve all the problem and go home, right? That's not like, if that was possible, like industry would be done. We'd just have solved all the problem with all the smart people, and we'd just be home or some other planet at this point. We have problems, and the problems are bigger than one person can solve, and they change. They rapidly change. They update. That we have to innovate. We have to continuously change how we solve things and what we actually are solving for, so that we can keep doing the next best thing. So interviews, like collaboration within interview, not only just we're hoping to have someone that is going to collaborate with us within the interview, but we're also looking for golden signals that are going to tell us this person is going to be a good collaborator going forward in the job, if they were to get hired in the team they're getting hired for, right? If this person is going to be a good fit for that particular culture of that team. In general, like we have a very open culture of like communication, collaboration. Like we have a like very strong one-on-one culture where we meet with people that are not even in our direct PA, and we're meeting with them, asking them questions about what they're doing, what kind of interesting they have been working on. So that's not always the same culture across, but generally speaking, I feel like interview is always a two-way street where you are trying to figure out whether or not this person is going to be a good fit for the team. And for on your end, you also want to make sure the things they're saying about their teams fits what you want to do. I understand in this market as like a new grad, as like a young engineer, it's hard to have those strong boundaries. Oftentimes we don't want to sound difficult. We don't want to sound like we are like asking for too much. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, if you are like just finishing college, and I see few faces, I don't see a lot of like, I don't know who everybody's age are, but I'm gonna take a wild guess that you are all within the age range of 15 to 30, right? Like I think I'm in that range, I'm pretty accurate. So if that is true, and if you're looking at the average like tenure and like the retirement age on the other end, you are talking about anywhere between 30 to 35, 50 years, depending on how many, what our retirement age ends up being in the next 10 to 15 years. 30 to 50 years doing this thing, unless you have like a business plan that you want to get out with. Rough estimation, 10 years doing this thing, right? In tech. Can you imagine yourself doing this type of job for the next 10 years? Because the first job that you decide to take on also kind of dictate what the next job you're going to have, because your experience in this job, how many people do you know starts off in like finance and then move on to medicine and then move on to like in tech, like move on to medicine, then move on to something like automaker? Like people kind of, once they get into the industry, tech for finance, they are going to be moving around those banks over and over again, because that's the like the kind of connections they grow, that's the kind of technology they're familiar with. So the next job, it's going to be much easier to stay within like finance than compared to like move on to automotive industry, right? So things like this. So your first job, you have to become picky. So that means you have to be good enough where you are getting those interviews and have the choice of becoming picky. I know so many people out of school like get the first interview, first job offer, and have to take it because they don't want to be without a job. It's hard, right? So doing the preloading yourself with the work to make sure that you are employable, like you get your cream of your choice of the job that you want, is pretty valuable. So team collaboration, you have to not only look for the team that you want to work for, and they have to find the people. It has to be a good team match no matter what. It's not just about like passing an interview, because it's after you have passed the interview, then the actual job starts. So you have to make sure this is the kind of team, this is the kind of job you're looking for to do for the next however many years you're going to do that for.
Mofi, just on that highlight of teams, right? We're asking people to look at to find their own teammates for the fellowship projects. As you've seen, there's going to be 5 projects that goes from the HTML and CSS to more rigorous like RAG pipelines and AI, customer service, Stripe paywalls. We actually also are asking our fellows, those who are accepted and those who are still pending, to in the last 2 weeks to create a project that's going to try to get 1,000 users or $1,000 in revenue. And they have different tracks. Without going into detail about the tracks right now, my main thing is, what should people do when looking for a team? And once the team is made, how can they, as students or like, let's say novice engineers, create successful team camaraderie and structure so that there's deadlines? A lot of these people, this is the first time that they're creating teams. So any advice on that, since you've worked in both corporate as student and hackathon, everything, right? So
I would say for teams to succeed, the most important work are the non-sexy work. For teams, like the teams that are really successful had really good people that are willing to do the non-cool stuff, like managing a project or keeping docs or writing notes or scheduling meetings, helping each other in terms of unblocking other folks, which there is not a lot of glory in like doing the management type work, but most of this project uh, like my first ever hackathon, which we failed miserably in, we had 5 of us. All of us were pretty good at building Android apps. And our project did not go anywhere because all of us were good at building Android apps, right? You need to have a good balance of folks that do multiple different types of things. So when you're looking for a team, don't look for people that has your skill set, right? You want to look for people that has skill set you are lacking in. And it is sometimes hard, as I said, like an unknown, what you don't know, you don't know. It's sometimes hard to figure out like what are you missing in a project. That's where I think discussion in like whatever servers they have set up, either Slack or Discord, talking about like what does a successful project mean. If, at the top level, if you're looking to build a mobile application, you obviously need UI engineers like that are going to design the UI. You need backend folks, you need database folks. You need someone to just be the project manager, although that is not probably something you want to do, but you might want to do some sort of rotational thing. Like if it's a team, each of us are going to take one of the projects to become the project manager for. As long as you find people that are willing to adapt and are like not completely set in their ways that this is what I do and this is all I'm going to do, you're going to have a pretty good time. You're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to find out like your limitations as well as things you might be actually interested in, but never took the time to try out because you never had the opportunity to try something out like that.
I definitely agree. So I want to ask you just one question before, which is, uh, can you talk about AI, like more specifically, like let's say I am new to this field, right? Like maybe I heard of LangChain or RAG pipelines. How do I build a strong, like, how would I learn AI today? Like, I want to, have you seen a picture, Mofi, which is like data science is here, full stack is here, in between is AI engineer. It's the person who can create agents. How do I get started in my journey today? Like more tactical advice. Of course, there's Headstarter here, but just in general.
Yeah, no, I think it all this to come from a position of solving a problem. Like learning completely blind is difficult because again, there's just so much things. I could probably, if I just said I'm gonna want to learn, follow all the tutorials that exist on AI today, not anything new, just until today, it's gonna probably take me a few lifetimes to just go through all of them. So I could spend like thousands of years just learning everything that exists. I would say like do a bit of research to see what are the top projects that exist in the space right now. Even the top of my head, you could think of all the big models that exist. They have their own SDKs. They have integration with something like LangChain, something like Llama Index, something like Dispy that you can look at. And then like top level understand what problems they're solving. Is this something that is like that you think is a problem? Sometimes it could be that the things people are saying are problems and they're trying to solve are not actually real problems that you find yourself thinking about. Or you could look at examples, some tutorials and such, like a few of them, not going to the endless loop of reading and watching tutorials, but a couple of them just to see what type of problems they're solving. And from there, I would probably move on to something like I want to solve my problem. This is my problem that I want to solve. How do I use this tool to go about solving this? Right. So learning anything, again, people have different ways of learning things. I personally am someone who wants to like take something, try to do something with it, let it completely break until I find my limit or the objects or the tools limit. Then I kind of find my boundary as well as the tools boundary. And that's the way I learn. I would recommend like that has been really good for me. People have different learning style, obviously, but I think generally that coming from a use case is usually the better approach, in my opinion, because it gives you a strong sense of when it's done. And then you can try a different use case and try something else. Tutorials and learning, you can just keep on doing it in an endless loop and never get anything actually done.
Hmm.
I had a question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, sure. What's your question?
How difficult would it be to learn on the go, as like imagine I'm building a project that I'm unfamiliar with and I'm facing problems, and I'm willing to learn as I go. How difficult would that be in terms of building AI projects?
I mean, that depends. Like everything is built up on other things, you know. So if you have never built anything in the AI space, if you're not familiar with Python, then you are basically dealing with too many different variables, right? You are trying to, sometimes you run into an issue, you're not sure if it's a problem with Python, if it's a problem with the AI library model you're using, or it's a problem with PyTorch, it's a problem of your IDE, right? So as many variables as you can limit yourself with, that is useful. I'm not saying everybody who wants to do anything with AI has to like drop everything, learn Python for 3 years and come back kind of a thing, but some general familiarity with like stuff in Python. So you want to probably build up slowly. I would say like spend at least a week getting a strong fundamental of programming concepts. That would be a good start so that you kind of save yourself from running into endless problems of language rather than the model and AI things itself. Next up would be then like slowly build up, right? Like if you have like an end goal in mind, what project you want to build, you probably want to build that in part, like the whole idea of building MVPs until like every week you want to have something that is currently working. And then you add new features on top so that you could always go back to the state it was working in. One thing that helps is that if you are not using Git or some sort of version control, you want to have a running deployed version of it always be up so that you could always go back to a working state of this application. It is, again, how difficult it is like a very subjective question depending on the type of problems you're solving. How many people have tried to solve similar problems in the past would also mean they would have asked some questions about that specific problem on Stack Overflow, GitHub, on other forums. So all of this compound into like how difficult it is going to be. But I would say if you have like a generally good, like a programming fundamentals already built out, you could probably be okay, just like trial and error and trying out from pretty much all of these projects.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Hello.
Guys, if you can ask your questions in the chat, I'm sure a lot of people have questions. But Mofi, I don't know how much time you have because I want to be respectful.
I do have to run in about, I would say maybe like 1 or 2 minutes, but
1 or 2 minutes. All right. So in that 1 or 2 minutes, actually, I have to ask a question. I think on behalf of everyone, they would find it much more relevant. So my purpose for today, for this actually 7 weeks, is to open up people's eyes to who they want to become. Do they want to be a tech leader, where they're really good at communicating and selling, and want to go into management and leadership? Do they want to be individual contributor? Maybe start their own open language model or like some interesting things, and for solving curious problems, abstract world. Or do they want to be an entrepreneur? So talk to customers, build whatnot. So for each of these 3 tracks, track A, they have to ship to 1,000. Entrepreneur track, they have to build something for 1,000 users, put it out there, get some feedback. It's more so just getting people to show up on a wait list and make videos on TikTok for distribution. Track B is you have to go find a startup and then do a backlog ticket for them. So you have to reach out to maybe 50 startups, ask them like, hey, what are some things that you need? And go ahead and do that. Track C is actually getting an open source pull request approved by some of our partners. So I'm asking you this: which 3 do you think you would be, and what are some pros and cons that you see for each of them?
I mean, me personally, if I am looking for the easy way out for me, I'll probably go the pull request route because that's something I already do on day-to-day basis. But I think the one that would be probably the hardest and the most rewarding if it's done is probably the getting 1,000 users to give you feedback. It's just like getting people to try something and not just feedback like, oh, it's great, right? We don't need like Instagram feedback, so like love symbol, right? We need feedback of this is why I would not pay for this product feedback. And that's something that would actually help give you actionable items to improve rather than just having, wow, it's so good. You want to ask like what would make you want to give me $1 for this every week or $1 for this every month, right? Like what would this application need to do for you to say, I'm willing to increase my subscription to like $5 a month or $10 a month, right? So that is something like, that's where you're trying to understand like what does people value and what adds value. That would be probably the hardest thing to actually do, and probably the most valuable as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Mofi. I appreciate your time. So guys, let's
Yeah.
just some good praise for Mofi again. If whatever
Thank you, everyone.
top stuff that Mofi had shared, feel free to share that with the rest of your friends. So, yeah, it looks like he headed out. All right, so I'm gonna answer some quick questions that people may have about the fellowship. I'll just tell you guys this. This was really sudden. There's gonna be a lot of these type of conversation. So a lot of times I'm just gonna bring in people who are software engineers, all different types of companies. It's up to you to follow us on Discord. I'll sometimes send out the email, especially if you're accepted, but it's up to you to show up to Discord and listen in. I want to answer some quick fellowship concerns and Q&A. So number one, about like, why did we start this Headstarter program? Well, the starting of Headstarter is very closely tied to my own journey. Basically, my high school teacher said I would never be cut out for computer science. He told that to my parents, told me to go do sales. And then 4 years later, I ended up winning 13 hackathons. I fell to AWS Batons. I became a senior software engineer. I also went to 8 boot camps and I got a CS undergrad in 3 years. So the reason I say this is because I think I figured something out and I want to share this with the rest of you guys, right? I shared this with my friends. They all got good jobs. I started like a fellowship to test it out. Everyone loved it. And now I'm doing this at scale. And so I want you guys to be locked in a time where a lot of people feel like it's a bad market. I think the market is just correcting itself. A lot of my friends are now founders. They've raised millions and millions of dollars and they're hiring. And several of my friends have actually called me multiple times saying, "Hey, you got all these students that are going through this fellowship. Can we hire from them?" And I said, absolutely. I would love for that. I think you guys would also, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys would also love the opportunity to get hired, right? After a 7-week fellowship. Now, some of you guys already have internships. Some of you guys are master's and PhD students. Some of you guys are maybe seniors or juniors or freshmen just starting out. Everyone is at a different level. And what I want to communicate to you guys is kind of like what Headstarter is. So we're trying to build the #1 community for emerging software engineers. Our goal is to create the future shot takers, rainmakers, and tech leaders and give you guys direction, transparency, alongside with consistency and structure, right? So these things are very core tenets to Headstarter, and it all starts with the fellowship. So in this fellowship, the way we're gonna break things down is if you don't have team members, please make sure to have team members. Again, if you're applying or if you've been accepted, make sure you have team members. You're not gonna go through these sprints if you do not have team members. That's a very, very important bit. The second thing that you need to know is before I share more tactical things, is where do you focus most of your time? 20% of the time gives you 80% results. Where do you focus those 20% of time? You want to focus that 20% of time in deadlines. Whenever you have a deadline, you want to make sure that you're able to keep up to that deadline, right? So that is the most important thing. So teams, deadlines, very important. And then now I'm going to give you guys a very tactical step-by-step method of how this is going to be broken down. So if you go on the Headstarter website today, as you guys have already, this is the website. You've seen the different projects that we have. So the person who's going to give you these projects is going to be Bill. We've had 10,000 people apply to Headstarter's internship position, and Bill was the one we selected. We selected one. And what makes Bill very unique is Bill has won over 28 hackathons, including first place at Berkeley AI Hacks this 3 weeks ago. And Bill is created videos for you guys to watch and get done each week. Now, these are just one of the activities that are going to be involved. But if you want some more details, here is how the rest is going to pan out. Well, #1 is every week you're going to have a coaching call. This coaching call is going to ask you, what is your long-term goal as a software engineer? This is very, very important. If you want to stand out in your interviews, if you want to be intentional about your career and literally how much money you make as an entrepreneur or as a software engineer, you need to know where you're headed. And so in these coaching calls, we're going to talk about, it's going to be with an AI version of one of our software engineering friends. And you basically need to discuss what is your long-term goal. And then right after that, how are you going to prioritize your tasks this week? So this week, what are 3 things you're going to do that's going to help you get to your goal of becoming that person in 3 to 5 years? Then in subsequent weeks, when you do the coaching call, we're going to hold you accountable. Hey, did you do those things that you said that you were going to do? Now, if you do not do this coaching call, you're not going to have access to the project. The project comes out after you do this coaching call. And in the project, you're going to have basically videos of Bill walking through the project. You'll have some resources and a small little challenge of what to do next. After you complete the project, we want you to give you we want you to give us a link of your completed project and a video demo of what you did right, where you think you would do if you had more time, and some struggles that you had along the journey. Now, this project is going to be due Friday, and then from Friday till Saturday morning, we want you to go find 2 other people and give them feedback. So go find 2 other people and give them feedback on their project, right? So this is kind of like our goal, to make sure that everyone has not just feedback from software engineers in the future, but practice giving each other feedback and like listening to each other feedback and seeing if you can apply your, enhance your kind of presentation, your code, your skill set, whatnot. So that's how the projects work. On Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to have 1 mock interview. In this mock interview, you have to basically get 70%. This is a mock interview that's going to be with an AI version of an instructor that we've trained on in the last few months on actual software engineers. We want to see you ask questions. We want to see you problem solve. We want to see you organize your thoughts. This mock interview is going to be 20 minutes, because in a phone interview for software engineering positions, you're going to have to solve 2 medium lead code questions in a span of about 35 minutes. The first 5 minutes is for introducing yourself. The last 5 minutes is for asking questions to the interviewer. They give you 35 minutes for 2 technical questions around medium lead code hard, right? So again, our goal for this fellowship is to take bricks, like heavy bricks, and just throw it at your face, right? So that you can get hit and hard now, so that when the opportunity comes for you to shine, you're actually able to shine, right? On Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, every Thursday, we're going to bring in a panel of software engineers. So we want you to attend this panel live on Zoom. It's going to be in a Zoom call like this, and we're going to ask them questions. We're going to ask from them, like some tips, and we'll ask you guys to ask some questions as well. And then the people that submit their project by Friday, they're going to have a demo. They're going to get to go to the hackathon on Saturday. The hackathons are going to begin 9 a.m. and they're going to conclude on Sunday. And so every other weekend, there's going to be a hackathon. Every other weekend outside of that, it's going to be an in-person meetup in your different locale. Also, there are some other activities here. So on Tuesday, we want you to reach out to 2 software engineers in your alma mater on LinkedIn or via email. We want to see a screenshot of you networking and actually going out there. On Wednesday, we want to see you go meet up with your team, either virtually or in person. And it doesn't have to be just your team, but also other teams. So there's some community there. On Thursday, after the Pathways to Tech event, we want you to post on social media. On Friday, we want to see you give feedback after your project is submitted. On Saturday, just give it all your best for your hackathon demo. So I'm going to answer some questions that folks are here have. I'll go into more detail about what this is. If you don't have too much experience with DSA, you will still we'll kind of give you an idea of what problems you're going to get that week, so that you can kind of practice those problems before you do the mock interview. So we'll give you we'll try to give you some practice so that you can prepare that week for the mock interview. However, we don't want this to be a mock interview bootcamp, right? We want this to be more focused on your AI projects. So we can give you some lessons, but those are going to be supplementary. I would recommend not creating WhatsApp groups for Track C and these other ones. I mean, they're going to be made anyways, but I mean, it's fine. It'll probably be better if you use the group chats on Headstarter or the different IRL groups. Okay, so how are the AI versions trained? It actually really cool. We train the AI based on software engineering friends that we have. So I have we know over 400 software engineers along with 30 unicorn founders, and we try to work with them on how they interview, how they teach, and how they give feedback. That's how we created the instructor. Again, it's not a mock interview, but an instructor. So it's able to teach you once you're stuck. Also, another thing, guys, please be active on the Discord and answer each other's questions. So people who have questions, like you want to answer their questions, and you also want to these are things that we want to measure, right? We want to measure how active you are, why it's important for you to share, right? All right, so I am seeing, I don't know if there's some more questions that have been posted. What quit spamming the chat? Yeah, please don't add your LinkedIn links here. I think like most people are not going to add you if you're not adding others. So very few people are going to click on all of the LinkedIn links. So might not be a good idea to share your LinkedIn links here. So let me just see. Will we have enough processing power to train our own AI? Or I mean, everything you do is going to be on your own, like on your own accord, right? So anything addition we give you is like a bonus, but you should try your best to just like do whatever you can within your own capacity. So let's see what else is there. You're gonna get a Headstarter login later, so don't worry about that right now. I would say don't even just forget about Headstarter. Just be focused on your fellowship. And so you should be the prerequisite for this fellowship is you should know at least one programming language. You have enough time to dedicate to it. So those are kind of like important as well. Do we have to attend all the hackathons every weekend? The hackathons are going to be every other weekend. And yes, if you don't have a job and you're not giving everything you can, you should be, you shouldn't be complicit with yourself until you do your best. How much do certifications help? I don't believe in certifications, even though at the end of this Headstarter program, you're going to get the ability to pitch to a real software engineer one-on-one, or like your group to that software engineer. And if that software engineer thinks you did a good job, you will get you will get like an approval, right? So the what I care about is not the certificate, but what I care about is were you successfully able to convince and defend your project to a kind of committee, right? Like to an committee of one. So do certification in general help? No, I don't think so. Certificates in general, I think sometimes try to be like a shortcut. And they might be more applicable in cybersecurity and IT fields, but not here. The first project is due next Friday, not this Friday.
You have two certifications, right? I saw on your LinkedIn. One is the clouds architect and the solutions architect from AWS.
I have two certifications, correct. I do have two certifications. I
Then
do.
what did you say was patents?
Huh?
What did you say was patents then?
Because I have patents as well.
Oh, okay. I thought I got confused for a second. What
Yeah.
were the patents?
I can answer that question. I mean, since you're asking patents, basically I found a way to find for every single GitHub repo at Capital One and basically any big company, and big companies have like tens of thousands. Capital One had like 10,000 GitHub repos. I found a way to find the AWS cost per service per day per GitHub repo, and find ways to like replace those with more efficient AWS architecture patterns. So that stuff didn't exist by any company, and so we filed two patents on it.
Okay, congratulations.
Thanks.
Hey,
Are there
I had
multiple attempts for the mock interview? Yes, there will be. There'll be. We're not sure if we'll give you multiple attempts. I kind of to choose a track, you have to complete your. If you got accepted, to choose a track, you have to complete the accepted fellowship form. I'll answer like 2 or 3 questions right now, like live on mic, and then like that should be good. So I saw John. Like, what's your question, John?
Yes, and can I speak to you for a minute?
Yeah, what's up? When you
Well,
guys ask your questions, try to be like brief as fast as possible. Like, just be really quick with your question.
yeah, sure. Assalamu alaikum, firstly. I want to know that what if I like don't get into your fellowship program, but can I still be able to see through the course contents? Like many people are applying, and there may be a chance of high rejection. But what if we don't make into your program? So, is there any chance that we can like see the course contents and do it by ourselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, we're still kind of thinking about that. Right now, if you get rejected, you're not going to have access to the course. So if you do get rejected, you won't have access to the course. And people who basically are getting rejected are people who we think don't have high signal or haven't demonstrated enough effort, right? So we'll look for effort in different ways. And if someone who really, really wants this and actively participating in Discord and other communities, it should be easy for us to proceed. Okay.
Could I ask something?
Yeah, what's up, Neat?
Sorry. Yeah, your first point was we should have a group
Yeah.
initially. That's like a must. If we don't get a group, is that like, dang, we're on our own now, or do
Yeah,
we have signed?
you got to have a group. Without a group, this is not gonna really work out.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah,
I had two
I had a
questions.
quick question.
Yeah, so the first one was how did Bill get into 23 hackathons? I mean, I've been trying to find hackathons lately, and they're
You
just
go to
so hard to find.
devpost.com or you go to mlh.io/hackathons. Bill didn't go to 23, he went to 40 and he won 28.
He went to 40. Dang. Also, one more thing. How did you go about building that network of unicorns and for unicorn founders and
No one
those
networks better than I do.
yeah? How do you okay, you gotta tell me how you do it.
That's what we're gonna do in the next 7 weeks.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I have one quick
Yeah.
question,
I have a
Yassine.
question.
Let's do Brendan. So Brendan, what's your question?
Yeah, so right now I'm building out a social media app that's like Twitter, Reddit is very close to production. Because I have a capstone project due in August. So I was thinking about like killing two birds with one stone. My teammates aren't able to join the Headstarter program because they have a lot on their plate, so it's just me. But eventually, I want to actually push this as an actual like company idea. If
Perfect.
we have an idea like this and we want to have like IP protection on that idea, it incorporates artificial intelligence. Is there a way to do that through this program, or would it be better to just start a whole new project?
I'm trying to understand your question. Like, do you want help with patenting your idea?
No.
This
So
opportunity to build your project like two birds with one stone.
So I have an existing project. I wanted to see if there's a way to build out a team further with that same project,
Absolutely.
but also have some type of IP protection for the team. If I wanted to
IP protection means that you don't take your idea and run with it.
Yeah.
Just make them sign NDAs and non-competes, and you're good.
Okay.
I can give you templates for that if you want.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with you afterward.
Sounds. Shashank, what's up? What's your question?
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm an international student, and I just wanted to know, do we require a CPD for this fellowship? Because
No, you
I
don't.
know like we are not getting paid, but for like track A, we'll be like if it says like $1,000 in revenue. So like, do you think?
Oh, okay, I see. So basically you can make revenue, right? If you're a CBT student. So we will try to give you like a form so that you can have like an offer letter, and you can use the offer letter to,
Got it. And by when can I expect that? Because I
We will-
can't start the fellowship like unless I get the CPD.
we will try to get you something by today or tomorrow. Okay.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is
Yasin.
Bryce.
Let me select the next person on this list. So
Hello,
Vashita or Vas.
Yeah.
Rejoice.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my basic question was, this happened to other people in Discord too. There's a secondary email saying to reapply. We ignored that, right? After we got accepted.
Yeah, please I'm sending all emails myself, so please ignore that.
Okay, thank you. I just want to but even if we do it accidentally, it's just like I just kept on getting like multiple. I think I got 2 of those. I just want to make sure we ignore those after getting acceptance. So that's it. Right.
Cool. Someone ask a question. I don't know if someone's asked a question. Rejoice Kosi, you have a question? I have to leave.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Rejoice.
Yeah.
I have a question because I'm seeing that everybody's asking questions regarding track A or C, and nobody is really saying anything about track B because we have to build projects that has to do with components. So I have questions like how can we get the folder that you spoke about for each schedule for each day, and then you said if we don't complete some stuff we cannot start our project. So I just want to know how we can get like those information to us.
So what are you, track B?
Yeah, I chose track B.
Okay, so you want some more questions. You have some more questions around track B, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for track B, the questions that you have need to be I don't know what your questions for track B. We'll give you more information by email. So just stay posted for
And
track.
so because you also made mention that if we don't complete some of those forms or something online, we cannot start
Yeah,
our
that's a
project.
coaching call. So you're gonna get an email. I mean, sorry, you're gonna get an email with the link to our platform. And every week you're gonna have a set of lessons assigned to you on our platform. And the first thing you have to do is a coaching call. If you do not do the coaching call, you're not gonna get the project. If that makes any sense.
And then number two, do people who are working on track B, like projects for companies, do we also need to work in group, or can we work like individually?
Everyone has to work in a group.
Okay, so we have to find people who would actually work alongside with us.
Correct.
Can we also choose someone that is not like accepted in the program, or must it
No.
be someone accepted in the program?
Ideally, you want someone who's accepted in the program.
All right, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hello, Yasin.
Yeah.
So I have this question. Like for the international students who chose track B, right, which involves handling startup backlogs and working on business requirements, like how can we proceed without the CPT? Like, what should we tell USCIS to ensure we meet the requirements for the track B? Because my co-op advisor asked me to apply for the CPT as soon as possible because our this fellowship is going to start from July 22nd, right? And yeah, she asked me to schedule a meeting with her, and like I need to answer the questions which she's going to ask me. So
We'll send you a form for your CBT. So don't worry about that. We'll send you like some offer letter or something that you can use an official thing.
And Yashin, for the
thank you
CPT,
so much.
well, like it takes 2 weeks.
What takes 2 weeks?
For the CPT approval. I already have my CPT for another internship that I'm doing. And right now I'm in middle of the internship and can't transfer my CPT. Also,
So like technically you don't like when you take an online course or watch a Udemy video or YouTube video, you don't need a CPT for that, right? But we are creating an experience for you. So you want to put this on your experience section in your resume, software engineering Headstarter fellow. And so from what I understand is like anyone doing track B or A or even C, and if there's any monetary reward for that, you're not able to cash that in unless you have like your offer, right? So those tracks are not going to begin until like the last 2 weeks. So, or like you're not gonna make any money technically until the last 2 weeks if there's any money to be made. So, in that case, even if it takes 2 weeks, you should be in the clear. You should still be able to do the Headstarter assignments. And hopefully, if you are someone who needs CBT, you'll be fine by that. Okay.
I have one question. So you said like the CPT part like doesn't start until the last 2 weeks. So I have a current internship that my current CPT ends on August 20. So can I get a CPT from August 20 to end of the fellowship, like September 15, right?
That's too specific. I think we're just gonna give a general thing, and if it works for everyone, we'll just hopefully it works with you as well.
Okay. No,
I have a
So
question.
so I had this follow up. So
I
when
no
are we
follow-up
getting
question,
our
I'm
offer
sorry.
letters?
I just can't do follow-up questions. So just ask on the Discord or something. Maybe I'll create a channel called like CPT or something. You guys can ask all the CPT questions in the Discord.
First of all, Yassine, where do we submit assignments when we're done?
You'll be given a link. So if you'll be given a link where we'll email you all this information. So you have just check your email the upcoming like 3 days.
Hey Yassine, I had a question. So when choosing my track, I chose track A, but I was like thinking of switching to track C. I was talking with my teammate as well. He wanted to switch to track C too. So if I had to do that, like would I have to go back to that link and like re-register like after the
We will
the
create
testing?
an option for you to switch to track C or update track.
I have a question. For AI, you wanted us to do some AI projects. To start off, you think you should practice like getting it running in our console log, like either with the processor being remote or like on our PC?
This is the last
Before we-
question. I have to head out after this. So, regarding the AI, I'm actually not sure what your question is. I would just say like you don't run AI, right? You make connections to AI APIs, or you like host your own large language model on a cloud provider. Sometimes you can also host it on your own console. I would just say, yeah, just try to like practice projects, like just whatever you can do beforehand to prepare is great. We're here to give you direction. We want to give you direction from July 22. So right now we're just gathering together what's going to give you what we know what's going to be best for you. And what is the most important thing that I want everyone here to take away is please be active in the Discord. Please check your emails. And if you have team members who apply to Headstarter, make sure that we know that they applied to Headstarter. That's very important. And if you have team members that have not applied but you listed them, make sure either in part 2 or in acceptances, make sure that they also coming here and participating. Cool.
Could I ask you
Hello.
one last?
Yeah,
Could I
I have
ask
last
you one
question.
last question? I'm so sorry about that.
What's your
I ended up with 5 team members. I got a lot of my people to apply, and most of them ended up getting accepted. As of right now, I have 4 people in my team. The 5th one, he's unable to find team, and so I'm wondering if I could just like make like a 5-man team, if that's okay.
No, you can't. 4 is max.
4 is max. Dang it. All right, thank you.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I have a question. Last
questions in
question,
Discord.
please.
I have
Ask
one
questions in
question.
Discord. I hate to do this, but
I have one.
we'll be
Yeah,
back.
just last question, yeah.
Q&A.
Just wanted to ask if
I
you asked
just got accepted in as a fellow, and I'm getting a lot of mails being like, please fill the part 2. Do I need to submit the part 2
okay.
application or
So
not?
if you already been accepted as a fellow and you got some more subsequent emails, whether it's something that you saw yesterday or something you saw today, if you've already gotten accepted, please ignore those emails. Again, if you
And also, what is the minimum number for the team?
4 is max, 3 to 4 members. Yeah.
It's fine. Thank you.
All right. Guys, all questions will be taken on the Discord. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see each other again tomorrow. Take care.
All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I have a question.
Free Palestine.